At $158 million per mile, Dallas's LBJ East reconstruction isn't just a road project. It's one of the most expensive, controversial, and politically explosive highways in America today. But with North Texas booming and east-west mobility under crushing strain, supporters say this expansion is not just overdue, it's essential. So what's really happening on I-635 and why does it matter far beyond Dallas? Hit the subscribe button and let's find out. I-635, known across Dallas as the LBJ Freeway, was never meant to be a battleground for patience and lost hours, but that's exactly what it became. When it opened in the late 1960s, it sliced through open pastures and sleepy suburbs, a broad bypass built for the edge of a city still finding its future. But Dallas didn't pause. The city surged, swallowing its neighbors in a tide of rapid development. Garland, Mesquite, and Lake Highlands, once modest communities, grew into sprawling suburbs feeding a swelling metropolis. With every new subdivision and shopping center, the LBJ Freeway's purpose changed. No longer just a bypass, it became the lifeline connecting bedroom communities to downtown, to Love Field and DFW Airport, to everything that made Dallas hum. By the dawn of the new millennium, the road's original promise of easy mobility had collapsed under its own success. What was designed as an urban escape route now ranked among Texas's 30 most congested corridors. Each rush hour, brake lights flickered from horizon to horizon. People inched forward, clutching steering wheels, radios murmuring about delays that had become as much a part of daily life as breakfast. If you lived anywhere near LBJ, gridlock was a fact you planned around, a recurring character in every commuter's story. There were attempts to fix it, and on the west side, relief finally arrived in 2015 with the completion of the LBJ Express project. At a cost of $2.6 billion, engineers dug deep, literally, adding 6 tolled express lanes that tunnel beneath surface traffic. For drivers willing to pay, the commute changed overnight, but eastbound, the bottlenecks persisted. The ribbon of concrete remained stubbornly narrow, squeezed by decades of growth. It became clear that patches and piecemeal solutions weren't enough. Dallas needed something bigger, a project that would finally match the scale of its ambition, a true rebuild for a modern era. The plan was bold. Add lanes, reconstruct every major interchange, modernize frontage roads, and overlay the entire corridor with the state-of-the-art managed tolling system designed to do what nothing else had, actually keep traffic moving. The transformation was entrusted in 2019 to Pegasus Link Constructors, a joint venture tasked with turning vision into reality through a $1.74 billion contract. Their mission? Not to just design and build, but to maintain the new LBJ Freeway well into the future. Construction kicked off in 2020, and from the start, everyone knew this would be a marathon. The project's official timeline aims for completion in 2025, but anyone watching the dust rise along the corridor suspects the story may run into 2026. Every stretch of freeway is being touched. The basic layout is being reimagined and expanded, from 4 free lanes in each direction to 5, and on top of that, 2 newly constructed toll express lanes running alongside. When finished, drivers will have 7 lanes each way, a dramatic expansion. But the construction itself is a logistical ballet. Much of the new roadway is being built offline, away from current lanes so that the ever-present traffic never comes to a full stop. It's a strategy born from necessity, trying to reshape the corridor without grinding the city to a halt. The project isn't just about pouring concrete, it's about untangling the very knots that have stifled movement for a generation. Nearly every interchange along the route is being demolished and rebuilt from the ground up. The centerpiece is the new signature flyover bridge, designed to be both an engineering marvel and a visual landmark. With twin steel arches soaring 60 feet above the deck, the bridge will erase the weaving traffic patterns that once trapped drivers in endless merging battles. For many, its silhouette against the Dallas skyline will come to symbolize the city's drive to overcome its own congestion. The future of LBJ is as much about technology as it is about asphalt and steel. The entire corridor will be governed by a fully electronic dynamic tolling system. Overhead gantries will track demand in real time, adjusting prices up or down to maintain speedy movement in the express lanes, aiming to guarantee speeds of at least 50 miles per hour, no matter the hour. Carpools and buses will glide through toll-free, while solo drivers pay for the privilege 30 to 35 cents a mile at first, with the expectation that rates will rise as Dallas keeps growing and the lanes become more valuable. In the end, the transformation of I-635 is more than a construction project. It's a statement that Dallas refuses to be paralyzed by its own success. Where drivers once sat, immobilized in daily resignation, they will soon be racing for relief on a freeway reborn for the 21st century. Here's where the story gets heated. At $158 million per mile, the LBJ East project eclipses anything most US drivers can imagine, dwarfing the Federal Highway Administration's own benchmark of $10 million per lane mile. The numbers alone provoke outrage, but it's the reasons behind them that really ignite debate. This isn't just simple repaving. The job requires intensive median construction that slices through an already dense suburban corridor, replacing and rebuilding complex interchanges that knot together highways, frontage roads, and access points to shopping centers and neighborhoods. The pavement itself is designed to last 3 decades, a promise that means pouring layer upon layer of reinforced concrete, each step, each pour, racking up millions in cost. Add to this the relentless upward march of inflation, the wild swings of construction material prices, and pandemic-era supply chain stocks that delayed shipments and forced contractors to find scarce labor at a premium. Every month that passed during the peak of construction added roughly $5 million more to the price tag, compounding public frustration and fueling suspicion about the stewardship of taxpayer money. And then there's the politics. Texans have twice voted to halt the expansion of toll roads statewide, sending a message that resonates from rural panhandle towns to the bustling sprawl of Dallas-Fort Worth. Yet here, in the heart of Dallas County, LBJ East quietly leans on tolling as a central pillar of its funding structure, a move that critics decry as a sleight of hand and a workaround rather than a solution. Of the $1.74 billion total budget, about $800 million came from Proposition 7 bonds and a patchwork of federal funds. The remainder, however, was split into 2 segments, one toll-free and one tolled. This dual approach allowed planners to effectively sidestep the governor's public ban on new toll concessions, threading the needle between public outcry and fiscal necessity. For many Texans, it feels like leaders simply ignored the will of the voters, using technicalities to get their way, and that's a wound not easily healed. Even for those who see the project's engineering merits, the philosophical debate never lets up. Critics warn of the classic paradox of American highway expansion: induced demand. The theory, born out of decades of urban planning research, says that adding lanes inevitably attracts more drivers. Instead of lasting relief, traffic just returns, heavier and more unmanageable than before. Highways grow, but so do the backups, the emissions, and the sense that nothing ever truly changes except the number on the price tag. Transit advocates look at LBJ East and see a generational opportunity squandered. Instead of using those billions to break free from car dependency, Dallas doubled down. The city does have the DART light rail network, spreading its tentacles across the region, and the Silver Line commuter rail is inching closer to completion. Yet neither line comes anywhere near the LBJ corridor. For the East Side's packed neighborhoods and commercial zones, rail remains a distant promise, not a reality. Even the buses, the backbone of urban transit, are relegated to sharing the express lanes with paying drivers, not set apart with their own dedicated path. The result is a system that, despite all the construction and cost, still puts cars first, not people. The fear is simple and it lingers. Billions have been spent, concrete has been poured, interchanges rebuilt, but the relief may only be temporary. Traffic will ease for a time, but without real investment in alternative transportation, dedicated bus rapid transit, true high-frequency rail, or even meaningful pedestrian infrastructure, the same old patterns will reassert themselves. For many residents, it's not just a question of money, but a vision. Whether Dallas is building the future or simply repeating the past one lane at a time. Supporters of LBJ East seize on a single reality: the clock is ticking. Every year brings more people, more cars, and more pressure on the lifeline that is I-635. Without adding lanes, without massive reconstruction, east-west mobility in North Dallas would collapse, they warn, suffocating not just traffic but the very heartbeat of the region's economy. Businesses would falter, families would lose hours to gridlock. A city celebrated for its growth would be strangled by its own success. In their eyes, the design-build model is a rare victory, an innovation that sliced 2 years off the construction timeline, sparing commuters even greater misery. To them, dynamic tolling is more than a workaround. It is the only proven way to keep traffic moving when demand surges. If you want to see what happens without it, one project manager said, just look at Houston during rush hour. We'd be no different. For these advocates, there is no choice. Expansion is survival. On the other side are the skeptics, and their vision is no less vivid. They see LBJ East as a $2 billion monument to flawed priorities, a project whose scale entrenches rather than eases gridlock. To them, this is not infrastructure, it is a siphon on the public purse, an expensive patch that leaves the core disease untouched. Skeptics argue that induced demand will erase any congestion relief within years, and that the promised savings of design build are paper thin compared to the decades-long debt that taxpayers will shoulder. It's a boondoggle, says one longtime critic. All we're doing is paying more for the same headaches. Dynamic tolling, in their view, is less about efficiency and more about sidestepping the will of voters who twice rejected expanded tolls. This isn't what Texans wanted, one activist insists. We said no, and the state did it anyway. And the truth? It may be less a matter of who is right, and more a matter of how much both are. Both the supporters and skeptics have glimpsed real consequences of a project that is as much about the limits of modern America as it is about local congestion. LBJ East is no longer just a highway. It has become a reflection of the nation's crisis in infrastructure, how America builds, or fails to build, what it needs in the 21st century. In the decades after World War II, highways were symbols of unity and ambition, carving a new future out of open land. They were blueprints for prosperity, lines of connection, and evidence of what a country could do when it sets its mind to something. But that spirit has faded. Today, highways have become emblems of gridlock, not just on the roads but in the corridors of power. Delays mount, costs spiral, mistrust festers. What was once a national mission has become a local battleground. The contrast is unavoidable. In China, 10 miles of high-speed rail can rise in a year, cutting through mountains and rivers with a singular sense of purpose. In Dallas, building 10 miles of highway now takes 6 years, devours nearly $2 billion, and leaves behind a trail of lawsuits and political scars. The fight over LBJ East is a fight over how and whether America can still build it all. Each lane poured in concrete is a wager on the future, yet every debate echoes with the memory of what building used to mean and the uncertainty of what it means now. The road is open, but the way forward is anything but clear. So here's the question. Will LBJ East's 7 lanes and $1.74 billion investment finally free Dallas drivers from gridlock, or will it become another monument to America's inability to build smarter, faster, and with public trust? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching this video with us, and catch you in the next one.